Welcome to episode 4. Are Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders flip sides of the same coin, and are they making promises that they can't deliver? Join us after the intro.
I've been looking for freedom. I've been looking so long. I've been looking for freedom. Still the search goes on. Oh, freedom! I've been looking so long.
Hello, friends. This is the fourth podcast in a year-long conversation between Alabama Liberal and Blue in Alabama's Michael. He'll be joining us in just a second. But first, I wanted to talk about what today's main theme is going to be. We're going to be talking about Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. Are these basically flip sides of the same coin? Are they pretty much promising things they can't deliver? And is there some parallels between these two? And we're going to get into that in just a minute. Michael, how's it going?
It's going absolutely fantastic.
That's good. That's great. Great to hear. We've had a busy political week. There's all these stories every day. Big news, I guess, is that Sarah Palin endorsed Donald Trump, so that'll bring him an extra
Sarah Palin is back in the news. My life is complete again.
Yeah, people said the worm. You got a full circle right now because you got Palin, who was a politician turned reality star, and Trump, a reality star turned politician.
Yes.
They're complete circle. They're completing the loop. I mean, Aaron Sorkin, they asked him if he could ever write a Donald Trump movie, and he goes, "I could, because Donald Trump is the end of political satire." I wouldn't know how to make fun of him. I wouldn't know how to parody a guy who is a self-parody.
Yeah, I saw one of the greatest pictures ever put on social media, and it was Sarah Palin and Donald Trump standing next to each other, and the caption on it said, "When the two dumb kids in class get paired together for a presentation."
Yeah, that just about works. Yeah, and I mean, if you were for the same caption for that picture, you could have said "R.I.P. America" and put 1776,
exactly.
2016. You know, in a fun country, but anyway, but this was, and in the next, we're not going to talk too much about it. We'll get into that in the next podcast. But I think this was a bad week for Ted Cruz because you had Sarah Palin. They thought she would probably endorse him. She didn't. She endorsed Donald Trump instead.
Right.
And the governor of Iowa endorsed everybody but Ted Cruz. He got an anti-endorsement. He basically said, "I'm not taking sides, but for whoever you want but Ted Cruz." So I think this was...
And also, who was it? Senator from North Carolina. I don't know if you saw this. Senator from North Carolina said basically if Ted Cruz wins, the party loses. And that he would break rank, that he would not vote for Ted Cruz if he was the nominee.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who it was that said it, but I can't remember. It was one of the 36 breaking news stories that CNN sends me every 30 minutes on my watch. Because everything is breaking news to CNN. So.
Yeah, and if you check your emails, I'm getting daily spam from MoveOn.org talking about send money to Bernie Sanders. And it doesn't seem to make any difference that I don't want him to be the nominee. That doesn't really make any difference or affect him. But yeah, with the governor of Iowa, the Republican governor of Iowa, he told people, he said he'd vote anybody but Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is so in the pocket of big oil. He's a West Texas senator, so obviously some oil interests are aligning with him. But he tried to pass a bill through Congress that would basically get rid of ethanol. Right now, they've got some kind of law or regulation. So many barrels of oil, you have to match it with a lower number of ethanol barrels. He wanted to completely get rid of the ethanol requirements. Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of corn farmers in Iowa. A lot of farmers in Iowa, that's their livelihood. He also wanted to get rid of subsidies for biodiesel fuel. There's soybean farmers in Iowa as well that use biodiesel fuel. So the governor of Iowa said, we need to send them a strong message that we're not going to support this crusade to get rid of. Of course, Trump, he was like, this guy who doesn't even believe global warming's real. He's like, yeah, we ought to do more fossil fuel. We ought to get rid of fossil fuel. He jumped on that and said, yeah, well, we need more alternative energy. And he doesn't even believe global warming's real. So it was interesting that in the last week we've seen Trump. I mean, this guy's been a fucking pariah since they started this race. I mean, he really has been. If the Republican Congress was a lunch table, he'd be eating alone, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And now, now we've seen kind of people like the governor of Iowa and probably that senator in North Carolina, I mean, they're not endorsing him exactly, but they know that to hurt Ted Cruz helps him. So it feels like the establishment of the party, they're still not ready to come out and say we're for him, but they're no longer seeming totally against him either. Some of them, and some of them, of course, now that Trump, you can almost say, has a realistic chance of being the nominee. Some of the establishment members have really come out against him, which I think that only helps him, to be honest. Like, I think I see who, just like Ted Cruz got anti-endorsements, Trump got anti-endorsements from some of the establishment Republicans this week, and also, of course, Hollywood liberals. Yeah, Jane Fonda, Kerry Washington, Connie Britton. It was mostly actresses. I think the only actor was Dylan McDermott and Danny Glover, I guess because they just wanted to get back in the news. But anyway, so you had basically...
Danny Glover's still alive?
Yeah, you had about 2 dozen actresses signing this petition saying, stop, dump Trump, stop the hate. And I'm like, this only helps him. I feel like a lot of times liberals, they may not really, I don't know if they're getting it. Like, I don't know if they're getting the message. Like, the Republican primary voters don't say, I wonder who a Hollywood actress, I got to find out who they're for to vote in this primary. You know, they're not really concerned about what Star Scandal thinks about the Republican primary. So I think you have to.
But by God, you better ask those dynasty guys.
I mean, oh yeah. And then people always point out Hollywood liberals can't keep their mouth shut about politics. But the only conservatives the only actors that have actually been elected to office, almost all of them are Republicans. Starting with St. Reagan and then going all the way to Sonny Bono, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Clint Eastwood spoke at the Republican convention. He was a mayor of a town in California for a little bit. So you basically, it seems to be shut up actors unless you're speaking at the Republican convention and then you go ahead, the floor is yours.
Can I just say, probably the funniest thing ever to happen to politics before Donald Trump running is probably Clint Eastwood talking to the empty chair at the convention 4 years ago. That was classic.
But now we have to get into the meat of basically the podcast. And we're about to go down a scary, exciting, dangerous road because so far we've enjoyed pretty much universal people like us that are liberals right now. You know, the first 3 podcasts, whatever, I think from all the liberals I've talked to, they pretty much 100% seem to like us, but we're about to get into something that maybe they won't like.
We're going to be hated. Yeah. There goes our listenership.
There goes our listenership, but I think we're about, because Bernie Sanders is very, very popular with liberals, and especially in social media and things like that. And I think there's a very big reaction right now among certain liberal circles not to talk about him, not to discourage him, not to put him down in any way. They're hoping against hope that he's going to be the nominee. And I think this is where you're kind of going to separate Alabama liberal from perhaps some of the more blue state liberal organizations or New England liberal organizations, and maybe, I don't know, maybe people will still come back and listen, but we're going to kind of get into why Bernie is really not very different than Donald Trump. I mean, their politics are a complete 180 from each other, but in terms of their base, their partisanship, and what they say and what they can deliver, they're really not that different. And I mean, this is, Michael, you kind of excited? I mean, this is like we're going down a dangerous path. It's almost exciting, you know? It's almost thrilling.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I feel like Alice about to, go into Wonderland. Like, we're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're going down the rabbit hole. I mean,
probably where we shouldn't be going, but that's what we do.
Yeah, get comfy, because basically, I mean, we watched the Democratic debate, which was not this last Sunday, but the Sunday of the 17th. So we watched that Democratic debate, and this has been going on for a while, that I've had these increasingly unsympathetic feelings towards Bernie. I basically I like him as a senator, but I think sometimes people really confuse what makes a good senator and a good president. I think they really get these shuffled up, and they think, well, he's been so good as a senator, and he speaks about our issues, and he does this and this and this, and that's all great, but that's not the presidency. And the two jobs are very different. And I think, I mean, we watched the debate, and which there was basically Hillary and Bernie showdown, and O'Malley showed up for some reason. I guess he was their towel boy or something. They gave him water during the commercials or something. You always expected Lester Holt to say, O'Malley, can you run out to Starbucks? I need a decaf or something. I mean, you always expected him to give them their drink order and send them out. He was there. And how pitiful was O'Malley, really? I mean, when he was at the end almost begging for time.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, because I'm still saying I just don't get the no love for O'Malley, but it was how basically it was like he was begging for second, literally. Can I get 5 seconds? We have a commercial break. We gotta go. That young guy down there, that, you know, he's trying to speak, so let's shut him up.
Yeah, I mean,
he's trying to interrupt this Bernie versus Hillary fight that we're trying to set up with all these questions.
Yeah, and when he was getting after both of them, and he goes, well, they're both inconsistent on guns, the audience was almost like, shut up.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, half the crowd might have been for Hillary, half of them might have been for Bernie, but I'm pretty sure O'Malley's wife was the only supporter he had in the audience. You know, nobody was really there being like, I don't know what that O'Malley guy's got to say. You know, so it was like...
I mean, let's be honest, even his wife was probably like, I kind of like that Hillary. I kind of like the idea of a woman president.
Yeah, it shows his wife. She's like, but Bernie speaks to my heart, Hillary speaks to my head, and I just don't know which way to... And then O'Malley's like, but, you know, I'm in the race. She's like, oh, yeah, honey, but, I mean, after you drop out. But it was interesting because you've been kind of saying that O'Malley, in a lot of ways, is really probably the most similar to Obama, especially, like, man, and why he's not getting any traction. And I agree. It's funny because I watch O'Malley during the debate, and I'm like, I like what he's saying. I like the way he's saying it. I like his ideas. I think he can actually get some of them accomplished, unlike Bernie, but I don't care. You know, like, I completely don't care, and I don't really want to, you know, it's like, I just don't know why, and I don't know why I don't care. I can't pinpoint exactly, but I think but Bernie, I can pinpoint why I don't want him to be the nominee, and I can kind of go into it, and I think,
he's crazy.
I think, well, he's not, you know, it's not really, I think people, this kind of ties into with Trump. I think people keep saying, but Trump's authentic. And he's a real guy. He's not a politician, and he says what he wants. But for a guy who's not a politician, Trump knows poll numbers back in his hand. I mean, he knows poll numbers like his middle initial. I mean, during the debates, they asked him something. He's like, I'm 2 points ahead in the Gallup poll. I'm 3 points ahead in Bloomberg. I mean, he knows the individual polls. And I'm like, you know.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know that Trump is that authentic. I think he probably has market tested some of this stuff. And I think with Bernie, I noticed that he kept going into his stump script over and over and over. Like when they would ask him any kind of question. The middle class is eroding in America. The income inequality is too great, and the federal minimum wage must be raised to $15 an hour. Well, that was great, Bernie, but we asked you about Black Lives Matter. You know, I mean, it was like he kept kind of getting into this, even if it was a social question or even if it was a racial question, even sometimes about guns. And they asked him about health insurance, you know, because what he wants to do with health insurance is a lot more liberal than what Hillary wants to do.
Yeah.
But they asked him how he would get it done, and he started talking about bending in Washington and lobbying in Washington. And then he doesn't have answers for the questions that they ask him. And I think a lot of with Trump, he says we're going to build a wall. We're going to keep drugs and immigrants out. I don't know if he even realizes that most drugs don't come to America. He talks about drugs like the Mexicans got a pack mule or something, and he's like riding a burro over the border. It's like most drugs come in trucks. They come in 18-wheeler trucks because we have an after trade agreement where they pass through a border checkpoint at Juarez or from Tijuana to San Diego or from Laredo. And they come through the interstate system. They come on trucks because there's thousands of trucks that pass through America to the United States every single day. It would be impossible to check all of them. So what he's advocating for a border, it really wouldn't make any difference because it would make no difference in terms of drug traffic. And in fact, it would probably help the bigger cartels more than anything because they can get the official state seal on their merchandise to get it over the border. So he's talking about going to build this wall, stop drug traffic. It would make no difference. He's talking about we're going to build this wall, stop immigrants. Actually, 60% of America's illegal immigrants come on a plane, and their visa expires and they just never go back. So there's not. He's thinking about it like they're all smuggled over the border by coyotes, and they're not. I mean, they fly here on planes, and their visa expires and they don't leave. And he's talking about it like, and we're going to get Mexico to pay for that wall, which you would never ever be able to do that. You know, so it's like that would never happen. And I think he's going to get in office, and then after about a month, he would say, "Oh, it turns out that immigration stuff, yeah, we couldn't do it." And
sorry about that. I'm still great. We're still going to make America great, but we can't do that.
And he was saying that to deport, basically to deport the 12 million people he's talking about, it would blow the budget up like nobody's business. I mean, you basically, you couldn't do it. It'd be so expensive. But I think he's going to get there and then change his mind. And I think what Bernie's saying is not that different in terms of saying, well, we need to have free health care, free education, free college, expand Social Security, infrastructure spending, increase the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, and there's other stuff too. I mean, he's gone that's just some of the things he wants to do. And they've asked him, how are you going to pay for that? And he says, we're going to close the tax loophole in the Cayman Islands. During the debate, they asked him, they said, that would be incredibly expensive. How are you going to pay for that? We're going to we're going to close some of the tax havens. And I'm like, first of all, he can't do that because those are sovereign countries. So, I mean, you can't just take a stroll to the Cayman Islands and say, hey, open up your books. Let me take a look at all the American money that keeps your economy afloat, and let me have that back so you go in bankruptcy overnight. You know?
Exactly. So we can wreck your economy to basically do nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, number one, raising taxes on the top 1%, which should happen. Nobody's saying it should. I mean, on the liberal side, we're saying it should happen. We're saying corporate taxes are too low, individual tax rates for the 1% are too low. But what he's talking, that could not pay for one of his proposals, just a tax increase on the 1%. It couldn't even pay for one of his proposals. So the money is nowhere for this. And economists who have studied it have said you would have to raise middle class taxes. You'd have to.
Right.
And he won't come out and say that. Hillary said, I won't do that. And Bernie and O'Malley both, they won't come out and say that they're going to do that. But with Bernie's proposals, O'Malley's somewhere in between Hillary and Bernie, but with Bernie, you would have to. There's no way around it. But he won't come out and say it. And I think if you really believe that middle-class taxes are too low, and maybe they are, and maybe if you ask middle-class people, if you paid $300 more a year in taxes and you got bridges that wouldn't fall down and hospitals that could treat people that were sick and free education for your kids, I think, or free college tuition for your kids, I think most people would say that's fine. And I think they would go along with that if you told them that was what it was for. But the fact that he won't even make the case for middle-class tax increases, I think that speaks to the fact that there's just nobody's going to, and it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who watched the debate, they called him out on that. There was one plan for something that they said, you said middle income taxes wouldn't go up, but in this certain situation, it has to go up. Now, is that so? And he was like, yes, in that one situation, then there would be a small increase in taxes on the middle income families. And they're like, so you lied. And he's like, no, not at all. It's like, you say they're not going up. Now you're saying in a certain instance they will go up, but how are you not lying? Like, you completely changed, but and I think Hillary did a really good job at really calling him out, especially about his plan for health care. She talked about how when the Democrats, when Obama was first elected and they were trying to get the Affordable Care Act passed, she was like, look, we had the Congress, both houses, we had, the Senate and the House of Representatives both had a Democratic majority. You had a Democratic president, and we couldn't go as far as getting a public option of buying into Medicare. We couldn't even get that included in the bill. How do you think we're going to expand Medicaid for everyone? And again, he has no answer. He just goes back to, talking about how the insurance companies and lobbyists are ruining Washington.
Yeah, he goes to his stump speech over and over again. And I think you're saying, there's the one part about how's he going to pay for this stuff. And then the second part, which is even more practical, about he can never get this through Congress right now. Ever.
Yeah. Ever.
Congress has only, since Obama passed the Affordable Health Care Act, they've lost the House of Representatives, they've lost the Senate, and in the House of Representatives, they replaced John Boehner with Paul Ryan, who I think most people would say is not more moderate than John Boehner. So I think Paul Ryan is Mr. Cut the Budget Cut. He doesn't even believe in Social Security. I mean, he wants to privatize that. He wants to cut out Medicare, Medicaid. So this is Mr. Privatization. And what Bernie's talking about is the federal government taking on more and more and more responsibility. And I'm like, there's no way you get this through Congress.
There's no way that Paul Ryan would even let that be brought to the floor. I mean, Paul Ryan's a son of a bitch that at Obama's State of the Union address, he didn't even clap for ending cancer. He didn't clap. He didn't smile. He didn't. I mean, it was like Obama brought up, we're going to end cancer. Paul Ryan didn't even clap because he was so afraid to look like he was working with the Democrats or helping Obama in any way. And Bernie's, he's going to have another excuse. Well, he's a socialist, and it's going to be immediately like that. Paul Ryan is an Ayn Rand, ultra fiscal conservative, libertarian, and socialism, of course, is almost exact 180 of that. Exactly.
So you're going to have two people that are so diametrically opposed. I think nothing will get done, and it'll look like Bernie's fault. even if it's as much Paul Ryan's fault as it is. Because with Obama, nobody, when the Tea Party took over and they made Obama's life hell, nobody said, well, this is that congressman from Mississippi's fault. They point to Obama, because the gridlock, because he's one person and he's easy to identify. Nobody bothers to learn the names of the 100 red state Tea Party congressmen and say, well, you know whose fault this is, and then name 27 people from fucking Nowheresville. They don't do that, and they don't even know who those people are. So they point to the gridlock and say, Obama, that's him. And I think with Bernie Sanders, it'll be the same thing. And they've asked him, they said, how are you going to get around Congress? And he really has no answer for that. Because even if he's saying a couple of token, I'm going to close Cayman Islands, I'm going to close, I'm going to raise the capital gains tax. Even if he's got a few token tax increases to pay for his proposals to get around Congress, there's no answer. And what he's said, because I've watched this, he says, well, typically when there's a very liberal presidential candidate, more liberals will come out and vote, and I'll have more people coming out to vote, and that'll help me win more seats in the Congress. And I'm like, not in Mississippi, Kansas, North Dakota. I mean, not in these places where they've gerrymandered the districts to the point where it would be really hard for a moderate Democrat to win in those districts. And I mean, it also shows ignorance of the problem, because back in the last congressional election, the Democrats, for their House of Representative candidates, they actually had 2 million more votes than the Republicans did. So they've had more votes for their House of Representative candidates than Republicans have, and Republicans still have a huge majority in the House of Representatives. They've gerrymandered districts to where you have a district with more cows than people, and he's got equal representation than the entire city of Birmingham. And they've gerrymandered it to an extent to where, this area of our district's black. Let's cut this out. Put this with this other district that barely even touches that district. Yeah. And I mean, literally for those of you, I mean, if you look at the state of Alabama, if you look at congressional districts, you have the entire black belt, the areas, southwestern Alabama over to Montgomery, and then literally up the I-65 corridor and cutting into a part of Birmingham, literally just like one side of Birmingham, and it's the black side of Birmingham. It's not Homewood, it's not Hoover, it's not that area. Sure. It's over in the north side and the west side, and Bessemer and places like that. And it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence at all. And that's also where the one Democratic black congressman in Alabama, or congresswoman in this case, Terry Sewell, that's her district. And that's the only seat that Alabama is probably ever going to have a Democratic candidate, congressional candidate from, because every other district, there's probably 10 Democrats in each one of them. I mean, they just, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is, I mean, when you look at that district, it almost looks like a Picasso painting, because they've had to string it together through. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. It should definitely be 2 or 3 districts, but they don't want to do that, and then they'll have a district with hardly any people in it. It's got just the same number of representation. So it links to, and this is a lot of states. I mean, they've done this to the point, especially red states or whatever. And I think that's why Democrats, they've had more votes in the House of Representatives the last 2 election cycles, but Republicans still have this overwhelming majority because of this gerrymandering. And with Bernie, he keeps saying, well, you got to get the money out of politics. How are you going to do that without the Congress's help? And is Congress going to do that? No. Are they going to do that? No. Are they going to, if he rips up Obamacare and they start over to get a public option, there won't be that, and there won't be Obamacare. There won't be anything. And I think Hillary was pointing, and by the way, I mean, I'm for Hillary, and we'll get into that in another episode or whatever, exactly why that is, but I was proud of her in the debate she's actually taking up for Obama. Yeah, and I was really proud of her, because in Obama, I mean, she's trying, and how funny is it that it's her, right? Who exactly. The Obamas and the Clintons, they say, particularly on the Obama side, that relations are kind of frosty, that he doesn't particularly like Bill Clinton, and all of a sudden he doesn't really like Hillary that much. The relations have been frosty, so I was kind of amazed that it was her, more than O'Malley and Sanders, that was actually sticking up for Obama. And it was like, I was proud to see that, because Democrats, for 2-3 years, Obama, I don't know him, and they've acted like Obama is spelled Ebola. I mean, it's like they don't mention him, and he's like the redheaded stepchild of his own party, and they've had Democrats like the Senate candidates in Kentucky and different places like that they won't even say they voted for him. I think that's allowed the perception to sit in there that he's somehow a bad president or not a good one. And right now his approval numbers are about 50-50. Almost every poll puts him at like about 51% approve and 50% approve, and it's about 50-50. And I think it's some of that is the Democrats' fault because they haven't made the case of what a great job he's done. They haven't really supported him in a lot of ways. He's not really that popular in the Democratic Congress, to be honest, and I think that they backed away from him, and I think it was nice to see Hillary stand up for the job he's done and talk about it. And I couldn't have been more surprised that she was the one to do that.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that, half the country thinks he's doing a bad job, and the reason that Democrats are so scared to talk about the good job he has done is because they're afraid of the crazy Republican Party, like just the crazy mindset of people. It's like, Obama saved the puppy today. You love Obama. We have to do whatever it takes to get you out of office. Like, I mean, it's just they're kind of like, okay, he's the president. He's doing whatever he wants to do. Like, we're in Congress. It's like we don't know that guy. Like, we're here to do this job. So
you're right. And once again, they've let Republicans frame the debate, and they keep doing this. And they keep not having any balls or any spine or any, which is another reason I really like Bill and Hillary. I think they've got nuts. They've got cojones. They're not just going to let Republicans frame the debate. And I think that's why Republicans hate them so much, because really they hate Obama. They hate him, but people sometimes might forget Bill Clinton is the only president who's actually been impeached. And it was over that blowjob. And he was technically impeached, but then it got reverted back or whatever. But I mean, it was like they were ready to impeach him over that. When Bill Clinton was in the White House, they hated him. And I think because Bill and Hillary, I mean, they're not going to put up with their bullshit. I mean, they don't care. And I mean, Hillary has been scrutinized. People, I've seen liberals, and they talk about Bernie and why they're backing him, and they say, well, Hillary's not trustworthy, and she's not honest, and she doesn't have integrity. And then I'll say, but what exactly makes you think that? And they can't really answer it. And I think in that way, they're letting Republicans frame the debate, because they're letting Republican attacks about Whitewater, which there was no scandal. They keep going back to this. There was no scandal. It was a land deal that the Clintons actually lost money on. And they've never said that. They've never really said, and they let Republicans frame this. There was something about Whitewater. There was something about Benghazi. There was something about Hillary's emails. And in reality, there's nothing with Benghazi. The thing with the emails, Hillary's the most boring person on earth. What are you going to find in her emails? Like, you're going to see an email that says, you forwarded like my secret plan to ruin America? No. They didn't let them turn a negative into a positive with the Clinton Global Initiative. They said Hillary, as Secretary of State, gave favors because people donated to Bill's Global Initiative. I mean, their charity work, billions of dollar charity, big deal, great thing for the world, and they've let people turn that into a negative. And I'm like, they let Republicans frame they did it with John Kerry, his war service. Well, they swift voted him his war service. Al Gore was in the Vietnam War. George W. Bush famously was in the Air National Guard in Alabama, of all places, and they can't even find a lot of records that said he disappeared for a year. And I mean, all these things about war, Al Gore, John Kerry's war heroism, they turn it into a negative. Bill Clinton's Global Initiative, it's a negative. And I think Democrats, they've got to stand up and stop letting Republicans frame the debate.
And the irony is that outside of Bill and Hillary, all of the other Democrats that actually did have balls to stand up, they're gone. Like, you got like Anthony Weiner. Like,
because their balls get them in trouble usually.
Exactly. But Anthony Weiner is the guy that would stand up and basically call Republicans out on their bullcrap, and then bye, like he's gone.
Elliot Spitzer, John Edwards.
Which, I mean, I guess Democratic sex scandals would be a good topic for another podcast, but.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely get into that. Bill Clinton is a man who is 70 years old, and they're still talking about his stuff from 5 years ago. I mean, it's really kind of pathetic. But I mean, Democrats who have balls, I think their balls also get them in trouble. But they shouldn't have let Anthony Weiner and John Edwards and Elliot Spitzer and all these people be airbrushed out of the party and thrown out of the party. Anthony Weiner, they asked Terry, when he was in trouble, they asked Terry Reid, they go, what would you say to Anthony? I would tell him not to call me. He should step down. Republicans would have never done that when David Vitter, their congressman who should probably be in a jail cell for using different campaign, special money to pay for prostitutes. He was their candidate for governor of Louisiana. Last year, and all these guys. We will get into the difference, but I think Democrats are not willing to defend him. They said Hillary, they checked her poll numbers, and Bernie beats her among young college women.
Right.
So it was like girls who were currently in college or girls who have recently graduated from college. Bernie beats her in that cat. I thought this would be like Obama losing the NBA. I mean, this is like Obama not getting the rap vote. I mean, this is a vote that she should be like she should not have to worry about these people. Mm-hmm. And I think we kind of get into a bigger thing about why maybe I don't know, but it doesn't seem like people are identifying, especially like I get why Republican women, they don't identify with her necessarily, but Democratic women, they don't seem to really, with Obama, eventually, like in the beginning, Obama had to earn black votes. In the beginning, Hillary in 2008, the primary, Hillary got the black votes, but once they got to know him, and once he'd been going, and once he got the nomination, Obama got 99% of the black vote in both cycles. Hillary, if she got even 60% of the female vote, she would win in a landslide. And the fact that she's not, and people don't associate with her with that, and some of the most vocal supporters of Bernie Sanders are white feminist women in their 50s. I've seen some on Real Time and various shows. I'm just wondering, why are they not making that connection? Like, what is it about her? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a female president is important to them at all, and I'm just wondering, why that is.
Yeah, I wish I could answer that question. That's a great question. It's one that I really don't know. I think as far as the
young guys that are 30 are not the best people to answer that question.
I guess so.
Maybe we'd have to bring in our our moms or something. But I don't know. I can't. I've seen people that have identified their 30 years. They've worked for feminism and women's rights, and all this stuff, and now they have a legitimate chance in a female president, real shot, and they won't support her. And I don't know what's.
Let's go for the old white guy.
I mean,
let's go for the old white.
It would be like Al Sharpton saying, Obama? Nah, John McCain. It just doesn't. I mean, when you saw all the civil rights leaders, all of them got behind Obama. Even some people that didn't think he was religious enough or didn't like, his gay marriage stance, or even like Cornel West, who don't think Obama is living. Like Cornel West has turned on him now, but they all supported him. I mean, of course, Cornel West. It's like the Mad Hatter meets Dr. Seuss or something. I mean, I don't know if people really are taking him that seriously anymore now that he's gotten beefs with Ta-Nehisi Coates, Eric Michael Dawson. I mean, really everybody's black but him. So it's like, I think they all supported him, and the fact that Hillary is not even able to get the white feminist vote from Bernie fucking Sanders. I look at that and think, like, what is going? I mean, it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make. I mean, you get them. Maybe we need equal pay for women, and I'm like, well, okay. Well, how about a female president? No. They'll watch a Game of Thrones episode and write a 15 paragraph article about it for Jezebel about a rape in a Game of Thrones episode, but they have a chance for a female president. Big picture, female president. Not important. But I don't know. It's weird.
It's funny because I actually got into a debate on, I guess you could call it a debate on Facebook with a guy and talking about Bernie supporters and why he was arguing with me that Bernie was the best and he was going to win the nomination and change the world. And that's a whole another issue, how radical these Bernie supporters really are, which is scary in itself.
Well, if he's not the liberal Donald Trump, he's definitely the liberal Ron Paul.
Yeah, but
I mean, if he's not one, he's the other. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Right, but that's going to bring me to another point that I'll make in a minute. But he was basically he was talking about Bernie supporters, and he was talking about how Bernie has the youth vote. Bernie has. And I was like, yeah, but at the same time, look at Bernie's message. I mean, look at the things he's saying and look who that should resonate with. Free college, cheaper interest rates on student loans, free health care. Look at the thing, $15 minimum wage. These are all things that young people would like. So it's really no surprise that young people are supporting him because he's saying things that they would want. But for the most part in America, young people are some of the least educated politically. So it's like, we have Bernie Sanders here saying he's going to give us free healthcare, free college, free this, that. We don't know. They're not asking how is he going to pay for it because they don't care. They're not, they hear what he's saying, they like his message, and they're supporting him. They don't care that it's practically impossible for him to do. So I think that plays, some role in it.
Yeah.
That young people are politically lazy. They don't really care.
Yeah, I love hearing the debate too when they were asking them. They go, Hillary, why are you not doing better with young people? And then they ask Bernie. They go, Bernie, why are black voters 2-1 behind Hillary? And they ask Hillary, they go, Hillary, why are young people 2-1 behind Bernie? And I thought if they knew why their own poll numbers weren't great, would O'Malley still be standing there? Probably not. And I think the reason that getting so many young votes is because young people are idiots. I mean, they hear free education, free college, free health. Understanding how's he going to get that through Congress, and they don't they're not following that the president has to get that through Congress, and maybe they're not really paying close attention. We were talking about a generation that famously has barely had a civics class. They barely had a civics class. They don't understand, unless you take some political science classes in college, you may not even understand what the president does and how he can't just set a budget, or he can't just wave his hand and do all this stuff. I mean, he has to have, so I don't know if they're really following it that closely, so I think they're listening to what he's saying, but I like this, and I mean, I like it. Like, when he says this stuff, of course I like it. I mean, who would be against this until you get into the realities of it?
Exactly.
How did it get past the GOP Congress or whatever? And then I think, just to kind of circle it around, I think Trump and Bernie, the authenticity candidates, I think they're very cynical in a way. Because I think Trump obviously knows that most of his proposals are impossible. And I mean, like, even a ban on Muslims. And we talked about this in the second podcast, would be impossible. Because there's never, ever been a ban on a specific religion. There's no precedent for it. You couldn't even enforce something like that. So, but it sounds good. And the GOP voters like it. So he goes up 15 points. And with Bernie, I think, they asked him too about health care. They go, how? Because he keeps saying, why is America alone among industrialized nations and not having universal health care? And that's a great question. But the other countries that do, they have price controls. And they've got price controls, salary caps. There's all these things. And they asked him, they go, are you prepared to set prices and have salary caps? And he would not answer. I've seen him on real time. Bill Maher asked him that same question. He would not answer it. So people know that. I mean, all over the world, people come to the American medical profession because they know that that's the highest paid, and they can get rich. I mean, most of the countries, being a doctor, you're probably not going to get rich. I mean, you might make money, but you're not going to get rich. And I think all those things, like a salary cap on doctors, are things that I don't think even he is going to advocate for. That's the only way that you can have universal health care and not blow up that's the only way. That's the only way you can do it.
It is, and that's why people don't realize that, because they're like you said, we're dealing with a group of young voters who really haven't. In Alabama, you take civics for half a year in 7th grade when you are literally thinking about nothing but sex, because that's what 7th graders do, trust me. And you take half a year of government in 12th grade when you're basically ready to leave school. That's all. Either you take it in the fall time and all you're thinking about is the last football games, last winter formals or whatever, or college applications. And then in the springtime, it's like, God, where's graduation at? Like last prom, last spring break, a million things on their mind. And they're not thinking about, well, what's the president do? How does a bill become a law? That's the last thing that's on their mind. And, it's basically like, give me a D and let me out of here.
I mean, people who exactly. People keep saying there's all this frustration, and these are the frustration candidates and people who want to see the system changed. No. And some of that frustration, quite honestly, might stem from ignorance. And that's something nobody's going to say. Nobody's going to say, well, the American people are not very well informed, and they're not going to come out and say that. You got people on the conservative end and on the liberal end. On the conservative end, they watch nothing but Fox News. On the liberal end, they might watch MSNBC, or they might go to like Salon or HuffPost or something like that, and they're only really hearing what they already think or what they already believe, or what they're getting that confirmed, and they're not hearing stuff about how hard it's going to be. And the 50% that's moderate and independent and in the middle, they're probably not hearing anything, because I know people that when a political story comes on the news, they change the channel. When there's an article online that they could read, that they go right to the Kardashian pictures, you know. And I mean, like, they're actively avoiding any information about what's really going on and all this stuff, and yet yet they get mad about the political system and say politics is disgusting to me. And I'm like, but you're not following it, and you're not like, you're not really engaged, and you're not really like participating in it, and you just think, well, I voted for president. His job is to magically make everything better, and it's not. It's like, and in that way, I think Hillary is the new Obama, because Obama, half the country, the conservative part of the country, the third of the country that's very conservative, hates his guts. Everything he does is wrong. I mean, he could do anything and it would be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the 10% of the country that's so liberal that they don't like Obama, they don't like him either. And in their eyes, he's done enough. In conservative eyes, he's done too much. In conservative eyes, he's a tyrant. In liberal eyes, he's a corporate sellout pushover. And in that way, Hillary is the new Obama, because he's the same dynamic. I mean, you got a third of the country hates your guts. Absolutely, to them, Bill and Hillary, they're rapists and murderers. They get away with countless crimes. They truly believe Hillary Clinton would be the end of them. I mean, Chris Christie, I think he said Hillary Clinton would be the end of America. I thought, oh, really?
Yeah, he did.
Much, you know, like really exaggerate much. Really, the most qualified president we've ever had would be the end of America as we know it.
He's just afraid. I think he meant Hillary would mean the end of Krispy Kreme, and he was scared of that. So
yeah, she'll pass a trans fat man, and then it's over, friends. So
exactly.
Like, but I mean, I don't think Christie was for that Michael Bloomberg soda man in New York either. He's like, no, wait a minute, cigarettes made soda. What have they ever done? Really,
exactly.
You know, and it was, but with Hillary, a third of the country truly believes that she's evil and terrible, and then the 10% of the country that's so liberal they don't like her. They think, oh, she's not enough of a Democrat. She's not liberal enough.
Exactly.
She's not. I mean,
she's so tied into corporate America.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I mean, so a third of the country thinks she's a socialist, and then 10% of the country thinks, well, she's not enough of like she's a corporate, she's a moderate Democrat. They call Bill and Hillary like Rockefeller Republicans. They're basically moderate Republicans to them and in their minds. And I think that I don't know, like it is the new, she is the new Obama. But I mean, when people say that and they say, well, Bernie and then Martin, they're going to take on Wall Street, and I'm like, so you want them to take on the oil companies, which I do. That's my biggest person that I really want to see, and I know that Hillary will do it because they're already going to back whoever the Republican is, no matter who it is. Fossil fuel companies, biggest lobbying industry in America. There's pharmaceutical companies, there's health insurance companies, there's big agricultural giants like Monsanto or whatever. They want to take on all these things and Wall Street. So he's going to take on all the biggest industries in America simultaneously, and they think that can win the presidency. Like, I mean, you pick one or two big, giant-ass evil companies, preferably fossil fuels, if I had my way, and you hammer them, and then I just don't see how you can take on all of them in Wall Street and all that, and it not be just a landslide against you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you got to pick your battles, and you got to take them on one at a time, space them out years apart. I mean, you can make these big changes, but not if. I mean, you're taking on the 10 most powerful industries and the defense industry. So you're taking on the 10 most powerful industries in America, and I don't know. At the same time, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Bernie is saying what people want to hear. The same with Donald Trump. They talk in terms that is easily understood. You know, Bernie's like, big money bad. I'm going to end it. Donald's like,
Trump's something like, I'm going to do it. Rich me, you know.
Yeah.
I'm rich.
Yeah, and Donald's like, America, great. Mexicans, bad. Muslims, bad. I banned them. I mean,
Trump,
really.
Trump got 3 sentences. Mexico's laughing at us. Muslims are ruining America. I'm great. You know, and that's it.
Exactly.
Only these 3 sentences. And Bernie's got 3 sentences. The middle class is dying.
Don't forget.
Income inequality's worse than ever, and I'm going to fix it somehow. You know.
Yeah. Well, you can't forget. You can't forget Trump's famous. Something's going on. I swear to you, every interview, something's going on. We gotta find something. We gotta find out what's going on here.
But I think, just to close it out, I think, in a lot of ways, I think Hillary is the new Obama, and I think Bernie and Trump, as much as they don't seem similar at all on the surface, there's a lot of similarities. And I think that with Bernie, even if he won by some miracle, like if by some miracle and Democrats, they should not take that gamble. Right now, Republicans are about to do the unthinkable, which is possibly nominate Donald Trump And if Hillary's the nominee, we've won. Like, don't fucking blow it to get Bernie Sanders to try to. I look at Democrats and I'm like, they're doing everything they can to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, they're like, on the one hand, they're trying every way in the world not to make Donald Trump the nominee, even though he should. You think we would be for him in the nominee, right? Cause
Democrats really should be like, no, shut up. Let
Yeah, when I keep seeing all these Democrats hammering him, luckily it's actually been a good thing for his campaign because it makes him look more conservative than he said. He probably truly is, just to be totally, I mean, so socially I don't think he is very conservative, but it makes him look more conservative than he is. These liberals are all over him, but that's a good thing for us if he's the nominee. And then number two, so they're trying to make him not the nominee and Bernie the nominee, and I'm like, you're doing everything. I mean, once again, we're trying to snatch victory. We're trying to snatch. You know, like they're trying to lose a race that they could win so easily. I mean, it would be not easy for Democrats to win the White House. And I think the fact that, like, we're trying every way in the world to somehow, well, you know what we got to do? We got to get Bernie. I mean, they say Bernie, he's new, and we like that he's new. Bernie's new. I'm like, Bernie is 70-something years old. Been in Congress for 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
And he's not new. He's Adlai Stevenson. He's Adlai Stevenson. He's George McGovern. He's Michael Dukakis. He's Walter Mondale. He's just the candidates that have lost, so they don't remember them. You know, Bill Clinton. Democrats had an awful time trying to capture the White House, and they're just forgetting all the things that didn't work before. They've forgotten that period. They're like, Bernie, he's new. I like his ideas. And he's over there like, what we got to do is the 1930s were the gold. You know, and he's just like, I don't know that he really. His ideas are not new. He's not new, and I think that he's the type of candidate that we've seen many times, but they keep losing, and that's why he seems new, because they don't remember all the people that have lost. And I believe, hopefully, that we're going to see a return to sanity, and maybe we're not going to blow it in the way that I think we're going to. Anyway, we'd love to hear what our listeners have to think, so sound off in the comments. Michael, what's your web address?
My website is blueinalabama.wordpress.com.
And of course, you can find me on Alabama Liberal. And join us next time in episode 5. We'll be talking all about Iowa. All the guts of that, and really question about America's policy towards treating elections like a horse race, if that's really a good thing or not. All right, thanks everybody.